So you all know that we didn't actually have a tool for authoring UI since like till now, and then every menu used to be hand scripted, and that used to take a lot of engineering time. So we decided to come up with this tool which would do the exporting to Lua for us, and like do this scripting for us. So I'll probably not be able to go over every feature of this tool today. I'll just go over the basic stuff. So, and also this is still a work in progress. It's probably like 90% complete. We're still working on it, and soon there will be tutorials and wiki pages coming up for this. So, and a few engineers have already started using it. So we're still getting feedback and having a bunch of bugs, but for the most part, it works. So this can be opened through Rex using this icon here. It doesn't. It's like the most inappropriate icon for the UI. So this is, we'll come back to this menu later. So we have the basic constructs of, you can add an image or a text or a widget or a custom element, which I'll go on to later. So for example, now you have an image here. You can just select the TIFF file you need to add for the image, and then when you export this menu, it automatically creates a GDT entry for the TIFF file, and you don't need to worry about adding anything to the GDT or anything. So like the artist can just modify their assets and then just plug them in directly in the editor. So you can edit all the basic stuff like positioning. We have some 3D properties as well, like pitch, yaw, and roll, the usual stuff, and all these can be can be animated. So the layout of this tool is made like Photoshop and Flash, with some elements of Adobe Catalyst in it. So you have like you can have a grid, and you can snap stuff to it, and you can make the grid coarser, finer. So this would help us to align all the elements, which was a big pain in the earlier. So. And then we also have you can put shaders on the images. And we have different types of shaders, and we can add more if we need. And then all these can be keyframed and animated. Also, if the image is not in the right aspect ratio, it gives this warning sign, which can be actually turned off, and then you can make it to its regular size. And then you can change the basic stuff like the color and the alpha and everything. And this applies to almost all the elements. So animation would be really simple, where like you just press the record button, and then you just keep creating keyframes, and then you can just edit any of the properties and would keyframe that. Now, we have a system of states and clips, which I won't go into now because that's kind of a deep topic. But it would help us to have, like for widgets, for example, widgets, we would have like a invisible state where a button would be in an invisible state given a condition. So you could use the animation panel to set the states and what animation clips it's going to be in that state. So, and then we also have we have different tweens. For example, you can have like a bounce effect, and we can add as many different tweens. Like we've added the usual tweens that we have in Adobe Edge. So this was images and animation. So now let's come to text. So we have a handy system of like auto-suggesting the string references. So you don't actually have to look for string references and search for them and then add them over here. It just shows up the list of all the possible string references. And then you could set the font size based on the set number of font sizes that we have for the project, which can be edited by the artist. So you can just go to the project settings, and we could have configure we could go to configure font sizes, and we could have like all the different sizes listed here, and then those would actually show up there. And we could do like a glow effect for the text as well. And all this stuff can be keyframed. Now this was just the basic image and text. Let's move on to widgets. So now this can be selected, and if you do save and widget as replace, it would go, and you're asked to save it as a widget. Save this widget. Now this becomes like a single widget. Now if you go inside the widget, now you started editing the widget, and then you could expose this property as aim, and once you save it, now this widget has a new property called name. So you could keep bubbling up the properties, and then you don't have to like specifically go inside the widget and edit the properties themselves. Now if there's something which you have to draw in code, then you, just like we used to have owner draws in the earlier, those can be done using custom elements which are saved in an XML file, and like just the format of them are saved in an XML file, and you could have like custom elements which show up here, and you could write functions for those inside code to render stuff into it. And the widget that we just saved would show up in the widgets list, so you could just like add the widget, and then there's this you could have folders and everything, and it should just work fine. So the next thing would be adding actions and conditions. So for example, now we have a button in this menu, and we wanted to do something. So we would go to the events tab, we would add a button on click event, and then we could add any action here. So now the conditions, the actions, and the events can be specified by us engineers, and if so we have the events.xml file where you can just specify the event name, which would show up here when you try to add the event, and then for the conditions and the actions, there's a Lua file which we can edit, and then that would also show up in the editor. So this is like the conditions Lua file, where like what we do is like we just like take the function name and like put spaces into it, and then show that condition there. Now similarly for actions, we have all the functions which can be performed, and they have their own categories and stuff, and yeah. So we need to just add actions here. That should show up in the editor. So for example, now if you want to add a button prompt, then you would just go to the global event, add button prompt, and then let's say button Y, say friends. So now if you want to navigate to a menu, then you have like menu navigation, action, navigate to menu. This would open up a pop-up of all the available menus, and then you could go to UIE friends list, and then now this menu is set up to have a button prompt Y for navigating to that menu. And now that button prompt doesn't actually show up in the menu itself during now, but when it's exported to the game, it would automatically show up on the right side, or like based on whichever button it is. We have predetermined positions for all the different buttons. Now one of the more important things is that we could live update, like once you're done making your menu, you just once you save and export to the game, it would save this menu in an XML file. So it just links like lists all the elements and events, actions, or whatever, saves it all in this XML file, and then it exports it to a Lua file, which is read by the game. So this is what the auto exported Lua file looks like. Which is pretty neat. And also it has a user code block. So if in case we want to make some changes to the menu, like anything which we want to hand edit, we could just do in this user code block. So we could still do stuff we used to do in the past, like hand write stuff. So that's why and then like this stuff gets saved, and this wouldn't be overwritten whenever you re-export the menu. And you have a platforms drop-down list where you can select your whatever console or PC you're working on, and then that should it should automatically export the menu. Once you live update, it would export the menu and do a my changes, run my changes on it, and then it would instantly update to the game. And that's actually pretty quick. So the iteration time would be really fast. Now there's another mechanism to add sounds. So you could just go and add a sound, and it has the sound alias. You could specify the sound alias, and then during a clip you could just record this alias, and then while playing the animation clip, it would play that sound. Or what you can do is, like, you could have an event on click or something, and then like play sound. So we haven't fully integrated the sound stuff yet, but that's still in the process. We have a we have a budget panel which shows you the element count and the fill rate as well. So this would be handy for the artists, just so we know like how many elements we have on the screen and what's the fill rate. The other thing would be there's another system which Jay is currently working on, which we'll be using for the hard element stuff. So we'll be able to just do all the hard element stuff through the UI editor. And then there's another concept of data sources. So if you have an image, what you could do is you can link the image to a data source. For example, like controller. So what the data sources are is that this information or data is pulled from the game at runtime, and then the way you actually specify the data sources is in so this is how you actually specify a data source. So it's just an XML file. So once you add a data source here as an XML, it would show up in the editor, and it would show up as the controller and like whatever here. And it also has like the Lua string for it, which gets replaced during export time. This is really handy for just linking stuff like which you don't already know in advance. You have so now lists are another type of elements that you another type of element that you can have. So in a list you could have friends list widget. So for example, now this is an example of a list, and you can specify the horizontal and the vertical count of the number of elements that you want in the list, and you need to specify a widget which is used in the list, which is this widget. And now this is just a text element which is linked to the data source friend's name, and the data source was already like specified in the XML, and there's a Lua file which takes care of the Lua side of it. There's also another mechanism where you could link the preview of this image. Let's say whenever something is highlighted in your list, the preview or the image out here has to change based on whatever is highlighted. So what you do is like you make this widget, and then you can link the image to this list, maybe rank icon. So that what that would do is like it would, whenever the focus of this list changes, this image would change automatically, and like all this stuff is handled in, like, exported properly in Lua. So that's another thing I can do. I mean, that should actually cover all the basic stuff. You guys have any questions for me?
I want to see the German version of this and see if everything fits. Is there any easy way to switch to German, or?
What do you mean?
Well,
For localization.
Oh, for logos. No, that's something we need to add, I guess. We haven't really thought of logs yet, but that's something we could add.
What's this tool written in?
It's in GTK Sharp.
Is the tool meant for artists to actually create the menu all the way before handing it off?
Yeah, so the workflow earlier was that the designers would make the wireframe, hand it over to us, and then we had to do the scripting in Lua, and then the artists used to again hand us over their version of like the prettier version of the wireframe, and then we had to plug in all the assets. So now it's going to be that the way it should work is that the designers would make the wireframe, then it would go to the artist, they would plug in their assets, and then all we have to do is make like the events and the events, conditions, actions, which even like the designers can plug in. So it takes a lot out of our hands.
Can you test the whole menu flow without running the game? Kind of like in this tool?
No, I mean, since like we have the live update and it kind of almost instantly updates to the game, we thought of like just doing it in the game. So there's no way to actually test out the menu flow here. You just have to link the menus here and then instantly update to the game, and that should instantly work in the game.
I know that you guys or Jay was working on having, like, whatever you make here be applied as textures onto people or onto different things in the game. Is that still?
Yeah, yeah.
How's development going?
That's still being worked on. We're going to have menus which are going to be rendered in the world, but that's still being worked on.
When you give the button prompt example, you said they didn't show up in this menu. They don't show up in game. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I mean, it would be actually just something like it's just a convention that we have that they just don't show up here, but they show up in the events list. So because they're not really elements out here, we just add them in code later on.
Might want to think about doing that. Just because just for the case, like, hey, one menu's missing one of the button prompts.
Yeah.
It'd be much easier to just like flip through menus, glance real quick.
Wasn't there a bumper as well on that previous menu you had?
What?
On the previous menu you had? Wasn't there a bumper in the top left?
Oh yeah, that's just an image.
Oh.
Yeah, this is just an image, like a widget, and then here you could add an event for the left bumper, right bumper button prompts, and then if you don't specify a string reference, that wouldn't actually add a button prompt. That would just add the functionality.
Is there a way to like sanitize or validate your whole menu construct with, just like you hit a button and it like, will identify dangling references or menus or? Yeah,
it already gives you a warning if you have hard-coded strings.
Okay.
Like all that stuff is handled. Like it would give you a warning, and then like you can change them to string references.
There was like, it's been since a while, I'm sure a lot of things have changed, but do you guys have any thoughts of like, it was really hard to, like, you have to set a DUR or something like that to know which menu or slash menus are actually being shown, or which individual items of the menus are being shown or rendered at this given time. Is there any like back from game to this thing where like, connection that basically whenever you're going through the menus, it actually shows you the relevant menus here, so that you know like, hey, if I have to modify this, I have to modify this menu. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's something which I was thinking of adding, which would be really handy. Yeah.
We kind of lost that between the old
Yeah,
system and
the
the
old
new
system
system.
and the new system.
You have to like do a stack was the only
Yeah.
way you could really get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the UI show list, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saves our lives.
So is this live right now? It's ready for use?
Yeah. Yeah. You could pretty much make any, like 90% of the menus that we had in Black Ops 2 could be made in this. Like we're still adding newer and newer functionality to this. A lot of bugs are still being fixed, and a lot of usability issues are still being handled. But you could, if you wanted to make just a wireframe, put in a few buttons, a few widgets, lists, menu navigation, that can easily be done.
It's what we use for the milestone for all of our UI tests.
For the widgets,
Yeah.
you said you can combine different components to make a widget.
Yeah.
Can you still keyframe individual portions of those things?
Yeah.
So like that logo inside that one could be animating, spinning around or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Can you change the time scale of the
Animation?
record bar? Yeah.
Yeah. You have the.
Because it seemed like it was in seconds, and probably I would assume most things are going to be under a second.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
You can also
zoom in.
Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah, could you zoom in
Yeah,
on that bar
you can zoom in.
to get very high resolution? Okay, awesome.
And then you have a variable playback rate just for you to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Are you able to tweak the safe zones and see if when you squish everything together?
Oh yeah, this this green line represents the safe area.
So you can just squish it together? And
Yeah. So you can like just turn it on and off. Like this represents this, the safe area.
There's no way to move the safe area to like make it smaller.
Okay.
Well, that only be necessary in the HUD portion, anyways,
Yeah.
where we have the expandable HUD.
Well, on PC you can use, I don't know, 800 by 600, 1024 by 768. So can you show that there?
Oh, the resolution for the PC? Yeah, no. Not yet.
Our game will run. If you have to deal with that resolution, it's over for you anyway. All right. That was great. Thank you for sharing. Can you stop the recording first?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Shift F10. Yeah. That's what I pressed.